Welcome back. Today we're talking about From Heartbreak to Hope, uncovering blind spots and rediscovering love after divorce. And with me is Julie Ferman. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you, Karen. I'm so happy to be here.
Julie and I are doing a pod swap, so you're going to be able to learn more about her podcast and hear me speaking with her on that podcast as well. But for today, emerging from a long term marriage and a painful divorce can leave you wondering, who am I? And how do I begin again, especially in the world of dating? And so, if you've ever found yourself repeating old patterns or doubting your ability to be in a healthy relationship, this episode is for you. We're exploring how to uncover hidden blind spots that may be sabotaging your love life and how to approach dating as a transformational journey instead of a stressful search for the one. So, to help us navigate this, I am joined by the incredible Julie Ferman, a professional matchmaker and dating coach for over 30 years. This girl has some experience under her belt. She's helped create more than 1,400 successful story couples. And her approach to dating is as compassionate as it is strategic. And so we're going to talk about her unique approach to dating and how it can help you rebuild confidence, enjoy the process, and ultimately attract the kind of love that you're looking for. So you can learn more about Julie in the show notes, all about her background and her programs, and more about this episode. But with no further ado, we're going to jump right in. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you, Karen. Hit me with any questions you got. I love the topic and I love the way you and I share in the enthusiasm for dating, the process of dating being a transformational experience in its own right. It's not about just find my person. If that's the only reason we're dating, oh boy, dating is going to be a series of big disappointments. Most of the people you meet are not going to be your person.
Right, right. And I know that you only need one, but sometimes you really have to sift through. And what I love about the conversation we're going to have is it doesn't have to be sifting through. It doesn't have to be, I have one goal and one goal only. And so let's just set the stage here. So, like, my wheelhouse is helping people see their part in their broken marriage. Like, yes, he or she is displeasing in whatever ways, but what's the baggage I brought to the table? And what do I need to do to heal and refine? Now, I don't really play in I personally play in the dating world. I don't play in the dating world as a coach. That's not my wheelhouse. And so let's just talk about that bridge from, okay, my divorce is over. I've done some work, right? We're talking to this audience. So if they're listening to this podcast, they're most likely rolling up their sleeves and doing some work. I've done some inner work. I know a little bit about myself. I've connected some dots, but I was in a relationship for 15, 25, 40 years. And now I'm supposed to dip my toe in this dating world, or God forbid, online dating. What's the bridge to begin to get from that one world to this new world?
The word curiosity just is woven through all of it. I think if we have curiosity and we're in wonderment about things, we have a better opportunity to see things clearly. So, what are we curious about? Well, I'd be curious about what type of person am I today? What matters to me today? What do I love to do for fun today? What would I love to do with another person? Start thinking about like envisioning the way life could be with another person and what are the elements. So if I were single today and I was dating, one thing I would know for sure is that I want to spend time with people who enjoy fitness and the outdoors and being in nature. And so when you know what your priorities are and what you value, you just start doing more of that. And who are you going to meet? People who like hiking and nature. If you're into art, what kind of art are you interested in today? And can you go to the museum and see who are the artists that you really appreciate? And while you're there, Keep your eyes open. Talk to that cute little old lady over there. Talk to that adorable looking younger guy that you would never date, because part of what we're looking to do is to get comfortable with people in new ways. How could I go to the museum by myself and feel good about it and look at people, talk to people, enjoy some art without the thought, is my person going to be here? No, have fun, look at art. So one of the curiosities is, who are you today and what matters to you? And then what matters to you in this other person? I'm guessing that the qualities that you're looking for or paying attention to, let's call it paying attention to rather than looking for.
I like that.
Looking for infers that we're lacking something and we need to fix it. Already coming from a place of scarcity or I need to get somewhere. What qualities do I really appreciate in men today? It's different than a way it was. Maybe the last time you were dating, you were thinking about marriage and family, and you needed a good provider, and you need somebody who was loyal and trustworthy and always there. And maybe right now you really want a playmate, somebody you can do fun things with. But the secret is to suspend the question, what type of relationship might I have with this person? We don't know yet. Could it be a romance? Maybe. Could it be a friendship? Hopefully. But is this, if the only result that could be worth it would be find my person, I'd say you're not ready for dating. Let's get ready to engage first and see who people are and look for beauty in people.
So let's talk about this concept of ready for dating. You just said, so I'm anything but shy. I came out of the womb very comfortable with people. So I want to go back to that story about being in the museum because this is not something that I experience, but so many people listening do. So let's say I have someone, it's like, oh my God, I'm in my 50s. I've been married for 25 years. You know, my kids are grown. I'm an empty nester, but going out and like doing things alone makes my skin crawl, makes me want to crawl into bed. Like, how does somebody get from being in this family dynamic and comfortable with friends that they know or always being a partner with someone to being solo and actually feeling comfortable going up to a stranger and having a conversation? Like, to me, that sounds like it could be really hard for some people.
Yeah, it's a skill set. So, one of the things I'll recommend is if you're all of a sudden living life solo, what kinds of things might you be? In what ways are you comfortable being solo? Could it be going on a hike in a meetup group? You show up in a meetup group by yourself, everybody else is by themselves, and you meet new people, men, women, both. Are you comfortable doing that? Let's see. Are you comfortable going to the sushi bar by yourself? I'll go to a deli anywhere in the world and sit at the counter and order myself a bowl of soup and a cup of coffee or a beer or whatever I feel like drinking. And if nobody's there, that's cool. If somebody's there, I'm going to find out who they are because it's like a present I get to open. Who's this person? Find the ways in which you are comfortable being on your own. It might just be, okay, I can go to the grocery store by myself and I don't feel strange. Great. The grocery store, the post office, CVS, those are places where you're going to begin the process of turning strangers into keepers little by little. It doesn't mean you walk up to somebody, hi, I'm dating now and I'm kind of lonely and I don't know the first thing about dating. Do you want to go out on a date? Probably not. But practice bringing smiles to faces. That's the first mission. The purpose of going out is not to find your person, it's to bring joy, to sprinkle joy out there in the world. And if you make that your mission, you're not self-conscious anymore because my purpose is bringing a smile to Karen's face. Look at this beautiful woman. What's her story? I'll just walk up to people. So, hi, what are you doing here? What's your story? Everybody always
You
just,
know, it's funny that you say that. I live a block from the beach and there's a 5 mile boardwalk. And I was just telling you, I have two dogs that I walk. So whether I'm by myself or with the dogs, over the last month or two, I've decided I'm going to try something. And I just smile at everybody coming at me. Now, I have a St. Bernard, so a lot of people smile because my dogs are adorable. But there's a lot of, what do they call it? Like resting bitch face, I believe
Oh
is what
yeah,
there's
yeah.
these people who look like they're really kind of either in a different world or not happy. And so my thing is I'm just going to smile like a big warm smile. And it's so amazing. Some people stop and talk to me. Some people you can see they're trying not to smile while they're looking at me. Other people will like wave, other people like act as if they don't even see me. And I only say this because I'm very comfortable playing in that way. And people do stop and just chat. And I love the idea of just play with it, just play with it in the places you're comfortable. So if you're just standing online at CVS and you just say, "Oh my God, I love your dress. Where'd you get that from?" Or "Your son is adorable. How old is he for?" Like anything that just begins the conversation is what I'm hearing.
Here's a great example. One of my ladies who went to my boot camp, we have a virtual boot camp. It's 30 days and it's all virtual except for office hours calls, which we do together. But in week number 3, I send everybody out on these flirting adventures to seriously bring smiles to faces. And people are a little nervous, like, oh my gosh, I've never done that. So this one lady, she was in the second class that I did. We're on class number 12 right now. And she went to get her car fixed, and it was only going to take about an hour, hour and a half. She thought, well, I'm kind of hungry. Maybe I'll just go do what Julie said and find a place to eat and eat at a counter or eat at a table by myself. So she walks around and she sees this noodle bar. Okay, it's just a noodle. Because, well, I like noodles. Let's go see what this place is all about. So she goes, there aren't very many people there. She orders her noodle dish and she sits down. And 2 tables over, are an older guy and a younger guy. And she's trying to figure out, I wonder if they're father and son or what their relationship might be. And she said, well, I'll never know if I don't ask. And so here she is with her bowl of noodles. And she looks over, and the older man, which was really her age, kind of looked at her and she smiled and he smiled. And I'm always telling people, smile, look away, look back, smile again. Then he knows the smile's for him. So he looked back and she smiled and she started giggling. And she said, well, I was trying to figure out if you're father and son or what your relationship might be. And he said, bingo, that's exactly what we are. My son's home for visiting from college. And they started a conversation.
Mm.
She had done what I encouraged her to do, which is to have a little calling card. So it would say Karen and a phone number, but it wouldn't say your real number. She got herself a Google Voice number. She's a very well-known medical professional, and she doesn't really want to go online. She doesn't want to do that. And she doesn't want somebody Googling her and finding out, well, she lives in a big $3 million mansion. She doesn't want people knowing that. Doesn't want somebody knowing her age because she's very fitness oriented and she's kind of hoping that she'll be with somebody a little younger or the same age, not the guy who's preying on her on online dating or wherever, 15 years older. So she just started playing and she had herself this little card and they had this nice exchange. Then he went back to conversing with his son. She paid her bill. She was getting ready to leave. And there's that moment where if you just walk away, that's the end of it. But if you engage and you say, nice to meet you, here's how to find me, and give him your card, then it leads to potential for more. So she'd never done such a thing. And she said sweat was building on her brow.
Oh God, I'm like getting nervous just thinking about it.
I know, but she did it. This lady is 57 years old and she found the courage to say, fun to meet you too. I hope you have a great time at your school. He's at Berkeley. She said, have a great time at Berkeley. Here's my card, by the way. My friends and I plan some really fun events. If you happen to be single, we'll invite you. Those are the words. Those are the words. And the guy was like, wow, it's actually kind of where I am in life. It's really nice of you to say that. And she gave him her card. And 2 weeks later, he reached out to her and he said, hey, it was fun meeting you at the noodle bar. Do you go there often? Why don't you meet me there? And they had noodles. And that was the first date that she had in 35 years. Noodles at a noodle bar.
Wow. So it's not rocket science.
No, it's all about curiosity. Who is this person? Gee, I wonder if they're father and son. It's about curiosity. It's not an agenda. You don't have an
Mm.
agenda, find your person. If you have an agenda, it's brighten somebody's day. and look for those opportunities. I'm the master of it. I've been doing this for years and years, and I teach other people how to do it, and it's really fun. And if you get good at it, you find that all kinds of relationships pop up in your life, not just romantic ones. Somebody who wants to be a dog walker. If you're a little intimidated about the idea of just walking up to people or holding eye contact, look for people who have flirting props. When you walk with your Saint Bernard, that's a flirting prop. When I
Yep.
walk with my big monster, gorgeous white golden retriever, that's a flirting prop. So either bring one,
Right.
people who have one, look for somebody with like a baseball cap. Oh my gosh, I love the Lakers. I haven't been to a Lakers game in 100 years. How are they doing this season? Something like that. Get it?
100%. Yeah. It's very funny. When my son first got the St. Bernard, he was in a very serious relationship and he goes, all my friends are asking if I can borrow her. She's a chick magnet and take her downtown.
I have a beautiful story about how that worked. And this is why you should always be friendly to people when they approach you, even if they're not your person. I was young, I was like 26 or so, and I was at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and this older guy comes up to me and starts flirting with me and asks me if I want to go have a drink with him. And I'm thinking, ain't no way. And so I just said, well, I'm kind of in the market for finding my guy, marriage, babies, all that. I'm guessing you already maybe did that. And he laughed. He said, yeah, that's right. I said, so we shouldn't go out and have a drink. And I said, maybe your nephew, maybe your son. And we laughed. And he said, maybe my son. He said, you want to meet my son? I said, sure, I'll meet your son. I go out with his son. Nice guy, not my guy. Really bad toupee. I couldn't get over it. Just couldn't. I want to rip that thing off his head so bad. But we had a lot in common. We both loved art. We both loved culture and theater. We both loved walking and dogs, but neither one of us had a dog. He kept trying to come after me and get me to be his girlfriend, and it wasn't going to happen. And he finally said, Julie, you're never going to be my girlfriend, are you? I said, probably not. I think of you more like as a friend. We're buds. And he said, darn it. Well, maybe I should introduce you to my cousin. I'm thinking, okay, I met you through your dad. I could meet your cousin through you. Well, you know what? His cousin was the best guy I dated in all the years that I lived in Kansas City. It was amazing. So it was a blind date once removed. And this guy with the bad toupee, he found his person through borrowing someone's dog. He was in sales, couldn't have a dog, traveled a lot, but his neighbor was this cute little old lady who was having a hip replacement and she couldn't walk her dog.
Walker.
And he agreed. He said, how about I walk your dog for the time that you're unable to, and I'll consider your dog to be my flirting prop because I want to find my person for marriage and family and all that. Sure enough, walking her dog, it was a poodle. He didn't even like the poodle, but he took the poodle out to coffee shops, art galleries, and that's where he found his person. And they both love art and culture and music. It's amazing.
Curiosity. It all comes down to the more curious we are, the more open minded we are, the more we kind of judge and label, the narrower our opportunities are. Isn't that true?
Yeah. And I really encourage people to look at all the people they're bumping into with lots of possibilities, lots of ways that we could connect. And it's not a failure if you have a relationship and it doesn't last forever. That's not a failure. That was a beautiful stepping stone that got you to where you are today. And now you have the whole world in front of you. So nothing is a failure. If you go out on a date with somebody and you don't get a second date, it's not a waste of time. You learned something.
Yeah. And I'm really hearing that, like, when you take that judgment piece out, where you have to label something as wrong or a failure or what happened and all of this, as opposed to just going with the flow. And so that really brings us into this next part of the conversation. So I meet somebody and there's enough of a spark that we want to have a second and maybe a third date. And I remember you saying that a lot of people can do things wrong. They can shut the door too quickly, they can hold on too long. So you have some suggestions for those early dating seasons. Can you share with us some suggestions?
Yeah, I like the 3 date rule. Okay. So suspend the question, who's this person going to be for me? Who am I going to be for this person? We don't know yet. How about we enjoy the suspense of not knowing? How about we get comfortable not knowing? So the first date is really just, Chris Rock says, the person who shows up on your first date is never you. It's always your representative.
Oh my God, that's so true. And you're
So,
kind of like swapping life resumes. What did you do?
yeah,
What did I do? Where do you work? How many kids do you have? How long were you married? Blah, 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 blah.
yeah. And I think the purpose of the first date is really just to feel energy and see, is this a person whose company I enjoy? And then you're looking for shared passions. And then you can ask a really important question. Why are you doing dating? So, Karen, what is happening with you in dating? What's your purpose? Are you meeting new people? Are you looking for your person? Are you ready for your last first date? Where are you in this big process? And when you ask it in an open-ended kind of way, it will elicit the true response. And you're not attached yet. So if somebody starts getting a little handsy on the first date or whatever, and sometimes guys will do that if they're attracted, and might be before she's ready to even think about him that way. She doesn't know enough about him. So if he puts his hand someplace where it shouldn't be, you could just put his hand somewhere else and say, oh, that'll be later. We need to get to know each other before all that fun stuff happens. Just be playful about it. And then the time in between dates, I like to see how people behave. How do they respond? If he says, I'll call you, does he? If he takes her out for lunch and it was a nice experience, is she going to text him to say, thank you? I really appreciated that, Bruce. That was really fun. Does she say, let's get together and have a hike? I'll bring the picnic this time. Is she showing generosity, or is she waiting for him to do everything and testing him? No testing, just be who you are and say what matters to you. So that what we're really looking for is, does this person share passions that are important? So I mentioned earlier being outside, being in nature, hiking, walking, that would be really fun for me. And if somebody didn't do any of that, I'd be a little bummed out. If they wanted to do 150-mile bike rides every weekend, well, that would be a little much for me, but it's good to know. Might not be my person if that's what he wants to do every weekend, but we're trying on hats. We're looking for things we appreciate. So you want to find out his primary dating purpose. Is he ready for his last first date? Is this his first date in 40 years? And so he's just sort of dipping his toe in the water, and all of those responses are fine. It might not be where you are in your trajectory, in which case you make a friend. And why I call it the 3-date rule is I like to see people suspending that question. Is this going to be a romance? Is this going to be a friendship? Is this somebody I have no respect for and never want to see again? All of those things without attachment. We're looking for the answers to the question, values, passions, do they line up? Are we looking for the same thing in life? Are we both looking for a significant, meaningful, monogamous, romantic relationship that can stand the test of time? Or are we just like curious, don't know anything about dating, we're seeing what's going on? Be honest. And if you say where you are and where you've been, and you give them permission to give you the real answer, you'll probably get it. And I say to people, don't go south of the border, which means keep your pants on, okay? Don't get sexual with anybody until you have the answers to these questions. What's their primary dating purpose? And what are their key criteria? What are the elements? This is a challenge to everybody listening, wherever you are in your dating process, if you've started it or not. Take a look at what are the 3 qualities, characteristics, criteria. You'd rather be single forever than partner with somebody who didn't have them. I'll give you a tip. It's a big hint. It's not how tall is he and how much money does he make and does he have hair or not? Is he sporting a beard or not? None of those ever gets to the top 3 critical criteria. Almost always for a woman, in the top 3 is something along the lines of trustworthy. That covers honesty, integrity, loyalty. That's almost always there. I'm pretty sure you'd rather be single forever than partner with somebody whose words you can't trust.
1,000%.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the second element that almost always is there for a woman is kindness. Kind, thoughtful. I truly believe how we do one thing is how we do a lot of things. So when we're observing people's behavior, maybe they're driving and they're just really rude to people. They're cutting them off. They're going around the little old lady, whatever. Well, guess what? They're going to do that to you sometime, right? How we do one thing is how we do a lot of things. So looking for kindness, thoughtfulness, consideration, that should be in the top three. And then the third one is usually something along the lines of the fun factor, shared passions, shared values, which can go as deep as religion. It might go as deep as politics today because things are so divisive. About that, I encourage people to not even, don't ask who'd you vote for. Don't ask who you voted for. It's not enough information. I just want to know, what are the issues that you're hot about? Is it women's rights? Is it border security? Is it the economy and balancing the budget for once in our lifetimes? What is it that really matters to you? And you're asking the questions with curiosity. You're not trying to say, do they fit into my box? Because if they voted for this person, forget it. I don't like to see dating done that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, those are such great tips. And I think those are fairly universal, the qualities that you talked about. I'm curious about behaviors, and I know you work with both men and women. And so, what is the tendency, the unhealthy tendency for each gender if you really like the person? What are the couple of rules that you have around? So if I really like somebody, what's the thing that a woman does that you would encourage against? What's the thing a man does that you, let's do encourage for and encourage against? Divorce can feel like landing in a foreign country without a map. You don't know the rules, the language, or where to turn. Imagine instead having a GPS, a trusted guide, vetted local experts, and a community that truly gets it. That's what the Divorce Support Network is. With DSN, the confusion disappears. You know exactly where to start, who to trust, and what steps to take. Every answer, every expert, every resource you need right at your fingertips. Go to divorcesupportnetwork.com and grab your free gift today. Divorce feels like an overwhelming perfect storm as you navigate pain, fear, and confusion while struggling with unfamiliar legal procedures and the pressure to make complex decisions that will impact the rest of your life. Our free Rapid Relief Call provides the clarity and confidence you're yearning for. Visit rapidreliefcall.com for support and guidance today.
I want to know what people's love languages are. I want each person to know what their love languages are. There's a word that I don't allow in my office, and it's the word cheap. It's not men who come to me using that word. It's usually us girls. Oh, he was cheap. Stop right there. Tell me, in what ways did you find him to be cheap? And it might be something like, well, he always went for the least expensive bottle of wine. Something like that. And what I want to know is, how do you need to have love expressed? Are you a touch person? Are you the person who really, like, I appreciate acts of service. When my husband comes and brings me scrambled eggs and a piece of toast on one of my really busy days, that's an act of service. When he took my car in to get serviced twice last week, that's an act of service. That means more to me than if he buys me a necklace or gets me a tennis bracelet. I don't need baubles, but I want to do my job. And if you're taking care of my car while I'm doing that, I'm so grateful. So that's an act of service. If I needed my husband to tell me I'm beautiful and how amazing I am and what an incredible contribution I'm making in the work that I do, I'm going to die a slow death. He doesn't have those words. You know, here's how Gil Furman gives a compliment. I'll get all dolled up and I really tried hard. He won't say anything. And I'll say, well, I tried really hard. How'd I do? How am I looking? Am I ready for the party? And he'll say, well, you look better in that thing than you did in that other thing that other time. He gives you like a backhanded compliment. I'll say, I love you. He sort of grunts. And I say, you love me too, don't you? He'll say, I'm still here, aren't I? Like, okay, it's just a cute little thing. He's not a words of affirmation person. Fortunately, I don't need that. I need it from myself. When I look in the mirror in the morning, I need to know that I value myself and that I love
Yep.
myself. And if I have that, it's like the confidence we were talking about, feeling good about ourselves, then we don't need to hear it from other people. So know what your love languages are. And if you find that someone is cheap, look in what ways. And is that really a love language, or is that just something that somebody told you you should want? Right? I don't like the cheap thing, not at all. And I don't like it when people are evaluating each other based on their earnings or their net worth. Much more important is how we relate to money.
I have to say, it was probably the thing the men that I spoke to spoke about the most was feeling like they were being measured by their wallet and feeling like that doesn't feel very good. Like even on first dates, oh, can you take me to this restaurant? It's really expensive. And I was like, really? Do people do that? And so obviously there are all types of people out there. And so you can do different things. And I love how you're really raising a level of consciousness. If you're doing things unconsciously, stop and slow it down and see what really serves you. And then what do you say to the woman who like totally dug the two dates and maybe he's not so fast to get back, and so she's texting in the morning and she's sending a picture, or I actually had a he do that after telling me how excited he was that I was this rock star businesswoman. He was like texting me morning, noon, and night and asking me why I didn't have more time for him. So what do you say to people who are chasers like that?
Yeah, it sounds like anxious attachment style. I need to know, is this my person? I need to know, I need the validation. Well, that's a red flag on you, okay?
Yeah.
And I don't like to see two or three text messages going in one direction without it coming back. And it's not, there aren't any rules. Women have told me that they've been told by dating coaches, therapists, whatever, that they should never chase the guy. The sperm chases the egg. That's what people are using as their reasoning for this right now. In today's world, I don't agree with that at all. A lot of men are not approaching because, and they aren't initiating because they've been mistreated by women when they have. So they have their own wounds and they have their own reasons for why it might be uncomfortable chasing. So it's fine for us to tickle. And after a date, if he picked up the coffee or he picked up the lunch tab or the dinner tab or whatever, there are men who will not initiate again if he doesn't see that she's appreciated what he did already. Men need appreciation, they need respect, they need acknowledgement. And if we're being cheap with our acknowledgement, cheap with our appreciation, probably not going to get that second date. There's a gentleman that I worked with in San Francisco, and I'll never forget what he told me. He's a very successful man, but he doesn't like to waste money. And so his financial planner sat him down when he said, you know what, Peter, you're not going to make your goals with your 401k because you're not putting enough money away. Why is that? You make a good amount of money. He says, well, I'm dating. I'm in San Francisco and I'm dating, and these ladies expect dinner and all this stuff. So the financial planner said, cut it out. If you want to reach your financial goals, you need to find a better way to date that's not going to cost you $5,000 a month or whatever. So he started having more casual dates, and he noticed that some of the women had an attitude about it. And what he said to me was, when a woman expects something of me, it robs me of the joy of providing it.
Beautifully said.
I'll never forget it. So appreciating what is being given, not acknowledging it, noticing it, saying thank you. And if there's something that we really want that he's not offering or providing, can we provide it? Like, I like fine dining, Mr. Furman. He's happy at, Denny's. I think life is too short for Denny's. So if I want to check out a new restaurant, I'm going to find an opportunity. I'm going to make a reservation and I'm just going to take him. I'm just going to say, honey, I'm taking you out to dinner tonight. Because then I get to do what I want to do and try this new restaurant and order anything I want. And if I want to order the $18 glass of wine, I'm going to order it. And that's how we've worked it out, so that I don't feel like I'm being cheated if I'm only going to taco trucks instead of the fine dining experience. Same thing with travel. I see women getting into a lot of trouble over their lifestyle choices. And they expect that they'll have the same lifestyle when they're in a relationship, but they think the guy's supposed to pick up those tabs. They've been paying for all those travel adventures all by themselves. That's another thing Chris Rock said. I just love listening to his stuff. He said, well, women all we get to a certain level and we never want to go back. So once we've flown first class, we never want to go back to coach. And once we've had a $25 glass of wine, we never want to go back to the $8 glass of wine. He just laughs about it. So we just have to put on our big girl pants and decide what truly matters to us. And is it something that we can provide and take care of and share, be generous about? Or are we just going to do without it and not make the guy feel like he's missing the mark because he didn't take you to the Four Seasons, right? Big girl pants.
And to the guy, you would say, if the Four Seasons isn't in your budget or in your wheelhouse, what?
I think a good way to handle it is I love managing money. I have great goals and I'm right on target with my goals. And I love the idea of being secure, not having to worry about it. So there's some things I'm happy to cover and pay for. Like, for example, I always like having a nice car. So I always tend to have a nice car. But I don't really care if I'm traveling, if it's going to be a 3-star hotel or a 5-star hotel. So you should just know that about me, that I'm probably not going to be the guy who's going to be always staying at the Four Seasons. Maybe if it's our anniversary. So you should just know I like covering this, this, and this. Probably not going to cover that. If it matters to you, maybe you can pick that up or just do without. To be honest about it, and to explain, it's not because I want to be cheap, it's because I have goals and I want to have money for all the things that matter. What's important to you? What do you like spending money on? What would you rather have as a gift rather than buying it yourself? You're asking these questions in the first few dates. You can ask the question too about sex. Well, how does sex fit into your dating life? Is this something that happens often? Is this something that happens like only when you're in a significant monogamous relationship? You're painting a broad picture and they will tell you the truth if you let them know that whatever answer is fine. You're
Right.
listening for, I want to be with a man who wants monogamy. And one question I love to ask, and they will tell me, I ask these questions all the time when I'm talking with men and with women in the interview process. I'll say, so Karen, challenging question. What's your track record with loyalty? If you look back in all your relationships, what's your
Oh,
track
wow.
record regarding loyalty? And if they hem and haw, you know the answer already. Not 100% squeaky clean record. If somebody jumps right, oh, 100%, I've never cheated on anybody my whole life. Probably a true response. Because
Mm.
the tell is the hemming and hawing. Oh,
Is the
well,
pause.
that's the tell. And if that's something that's really important to you, honesty, integrity, I'm a one man woman. I don't ever want to be in a situation where I'm sleeping with a guy and I find out he's on another date with another woman on Friday night. Can you have these conversations up front in advance?
Well, and that one in particular, too, it's really interesting because going back to the beginning of our conversation, if you haven't healed that wound, right, that abandonment, that betrayal wound, you're going to see everything through the lens of, are you going to betray me? And so you're going to see what's not there. You're going to create what's not there with anything that's unknown. And the boldness of coming out and asking. And so let me throw this question at you. It's kind of like, Julie, go on your first or second date. It should be light. This sounds like it sounds a little bit heavy. It sounds a little interrogating, almost like serious, like too serious. What would you say to the person who's actually uncomfortable with your description of how to chat in these first few dates?
Yeah, there's a blog article that's on my website at julieferman.com. Questions you can ask, topics you can talk about on a first date. One thing I really recommend is take a look at that, print it out, cut it into strips. I have a lady who,
Oh my God, hold on a second. I read that article and I sent it to 3 people right away. The other day when I was doing my research, I was like, oh my God, I sent it to my daughter. I sent it to a client who's starting to date. That is such, I need to make sure that's in the show notes. Send that to me so that we have it in the show notes. That's
okay,
such a
good.
great article.
So it's kind of fun. What I recommend is print that article up and cut it up into different ones, and you might separate them out. Questions you would be happy to talk about on a first date, questions you would want to wait until date number 5. Have your own way of organizing it. And this one lady does it this way. She's got envelopes, and they're literally in her glove compartment of her car. And she's got first dates, she's got second dates, she's got third dates. And so if the conversation's ever kind of dull or boring, or maybe we touch on a topic that's a little bit too sensitive, she'll say, I have a fun idea. Grab one of these questions and let's see which direction our conversation flows. And it never fails to be fun, especially if you've sorted them out so that you know these are the questions that you would love to be asked or to ask on a first date. And it might not be, at what point do we have sex, right? You don't want to talk about that right away.
Julie, I just love that. And I really love that article. And there were dozens of questions, like great questions. I was like, oh my God, these are all fabulous questions. So, guys, check out the show notes and grab a copy of that article, print it out. The envelope idea is brilliant.
It's really fun because there are times when you're going to get stuck. The other thing I recommend is go wherever you're going on this date, get there early, take your time. On a day that you're having a date, breathe, plan in a time to take a nap, do a quick meditation. I always pull my car around the corner if I'm getting ready to meet with a client and I know I want to be present for this person. And I've printed up their profile because I may have talked to 20 people that day, but if I'm going to be with Karen, I want to know Karen's story and I want to have it fresh in my mind so I'll have questions. When in doubt, you be the one to ask the question. And that will help a lot if you're the one causing the questions to happen. And then what do you do when you're on one of those dates and they never shut up? They're just gabbing and gabbing and talking and telling their stories. You want to know the solution to that? Because it happens a lot and women complain about it. Men do it a lot. And I've discovered that men will do it for 2 reasons. They'll go on and on without a breath. If they're interested, they're attracted, they want to impress you. So they're peacocking, they're showing you all their pretty feathers, and they're telling the same stories that they've gotten good reactions to. This is his representative. This is not who he really is, right? And so what you say is, well, gosh, Robert, I'm learning so much about you. What do you want to know about me? Pick a topic, any topic. And without admonishment, you're not saying, well, you've been talking for 30 minutes straight and you haven't even asked me a question. Not sexy. Catch him doing something right. Or if he asks you a question, oh, thanks for the question. I was wondering what parts of my life might you be interested in? And then if he does it again, it could be her. She's nervous. She's talking a lot. And he says, okay, so that was a fun story. What do you want to know about me? Pick a topic, any topic. And if they do it a couple of times, it's a pattern. Their mouth works better than their ears. Might be a quality that you don't appreciate. But I like to see you save them, save the person. I'm loving
I,
what
I,
you're telling me.
I had, you just described the state I had a bunch of years ago. And the first thing was I showed up and he looked like his father instead of his picture in Match. I was like, I think that's him. It looks a little like his dad. And he went right into politics in like 3 seconds. And I said, why don't we get to know each other first before we talk about our political interests? And then he was a talker. My ex-husband was a talker. So I knew going in that that would trigger me. And I kind of did exactly what you said. At one point, I just got really quiet. I was drinking a delicious glass of wine and looking at the fire. And he finally asked me a question. And then he went right back to talking about himself. And this is where what you're saying is so perfect because I just realized, okay, this is how this man rolls, which is fine. I'm in a lovely restaurant having a lovely meal with a lovely glass of wine. Let me get to know as much about he was born in a different part of the world. Let me just dive in and learn as much as I can about his industry and him and his. And he was so delighted at the end. He was like, when can we do this again? and I wasn't going to do it again. But I didn't have a bad time. And
Mhm.
I think that that's what you're kind of saying is you're out on a date, have fun. Like regardless of how it ultimately
Right.
unfolds, there's always a way for you to say, what am I curious about? What can I have fun with?
Yeah, and look for what's good as opposed to what might be lacking. My mother-in-law, Feisty Frida Furman, calls that looking at the donut, not the hole.
Mm, yeah.
So just the secret so often to these early dates is not being attached, doing your part to look the part, study up on this person's profile, come with a relaxed persona, get your nap in, take a little time to meditate, eat, right? Don't go to a drinks date starving. You don't know if they're going to say, hey, let's split an appetizer or let's roll this into dinner. You don't know. So I recommend keeping granola bars in your car. My friend Maria, Matchmaker Maria, she says that everybody should masturbate before a date. It just takes the charge out completely. Probably not in the car outside the restaurant, but maybe earlier in the day, you know? So and seriously, bring a lack of attachment. Bring curiosity. I wonder who this person is. I have no idea if this person's going to be a friend, if we're going to have the last first date of our lives. You never know any of that. So look for the things that are right, thing you're paying attention. If you care about kindness, watch. How do they treat other people on the road? How, do they hold the door open for the person on crutches or do they slam the door? I was just on crutches and in a wheelchair recently because I broke my foot. It's really interesting to see how people behave out there in the world. There are people who know you're coming and they know it's going to take you a while to get there. And they're going to go ahead and hurry up and get through the door or hit the close on the elevator because they don't want to take the time to wait for you and your crutches or your wheelchair. It happens.
Wow.
That's a
Wow.
tell, isn't it? That tells you a lot about somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Okay, Julie, we could go on and on. What I would love is for you to tell our listeners about your podcast, about your programs. I think you have a free gift, and let's give them what they need to find you and engage.
Yes, I love the stage that you're at with people where they're in the process of divorce, they're recently divorced, they're trying to figure out their future. I love catching people at this moment in time. So, my gift is anybody who comes from your world, Karen, they should just register on my site. I will always give them a free 30-minute phone call to help get that profile done. It's not like online dating in my world. JulieFerman.com, it's private. Nobody browses. That's the good news. The bad news is you don't get to browse either. This is not another Match.com. It's never meant to be. And I do two types of introductions, certainly for my high level matchmaking clients, men and women both. But I also have a community service division and I do a lot of introductions for free. I call them mitzvah matches. My mother in law is Jewish and she's the one who coined the term mitzvah match. She was 86 and she said, I'm getting lonely on the weekends. Maybe you should find me a boy toy. I'm thinking,
Oh my goodness.
she said, I know you can't promise me an introduction, but if you ever had one, it would be a mitzvah. It would be a blessing. It would be a good deed. So I kept that in mind. And during COVID, I never had to match her. She had three more boyfriends before she passed. She was an enigma. But during COVID, I was bored. I had time. And I thought, let's see what would happen if I make an introduction happen. I did one earlier this morning. Neither one of them's my high level matchmaking client. She just did a consultation with me. We looked at a bunch of people together. I know what kind of guy she's really interested in. And I kept thinking about this guy. So yesterday I thought, what the heck? I reached out to him. I texted him and he said, actually, timing's great, Julie. Now, he doesn't always say yes. He's pretty much the it guy. He was delighted with her profile and wants to meet her. So that's wonderful. It's just a free introduction that I do. I don't promise it. And I love to make it happen. So all the people in your world are invited to be in my community. Think of it like a big pyramid, the people at the top, those are high level matchmaking clients. They're paying me a boatload of dough to be their personal love slave. And I do it for both men and women, but only if I really feel like I've got the right people for them and it's a reasonable, manageable investment for the client. And I don't want to be limited to only that small group of people. So when I'm talking to your people on the phone and when they're creating their profiles in my system, I'm always looking to see who might I be able to introduce them to? Because I'm not tied just to the transactional nature of what it is to be a personal matchmaker. Pay me a bunch of money, I'm going to find your person. I can't promise that. What I can promise is a lovely journey through the dating process. If I have introductions available for you, terrific, but I'm not going to promise them. And I'm going to help you learn how to do dating well and all the other things that you might do. Should you do meetup groups? Should you get good at talking to the cute guy at the dog park? I want you to have those superpowers. Have that little card that says, nice to meet you. Here's how to find me. I'll help all of the people in your world figure out where they should be in the dating process. And how do we write that profile, right? What words are we going to use to articulate who are you and what type of person do you really want to be with? How about those photos? You mentioned photos. Oh my gosh. In defense of human beings everywhere, we all think we look like our old photos. We do. We all think we look 5 to 10 years younger than we actually are. Truth of the matter is, we might look good for our age. We're not really fooling anyone. Oh, but my friends all tell, yes, your friends tell you you look 10. Ask somebody who doesn't like you very much and see what they say. That's how you get the right answer, right? It's why I don't reveal age on my profiles. And I also don't reveal height. I'm over it. I'm over it. On a woman's top 3 criteria for what she needs in order to be happy with a man forever, height never makes it to the top 3. It's usually item 7, item 10. Typically, it's a preference, not a requirement. I feel more feminine when I'm with a big guy. Whether we feel feminine or not, that's on us. That's not on how big is the man who's standing next to me. These are the little hard realities that I will confront people with because I want you to make the right choices. I want you to choose people based on the qualities that really matter, not the ones that your friends say are important or your mother says is important. If I show up at the short guy at Thanksgiving, are they going to think I settled? I don't care what they think. If you like this guy and he treats you well and he has your key criteria, keep exploring.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. So there's a community, there's a free call, there's some wonderful blog posts. And the name of your podcast is?
It's called the Cupid's Coach Podcast because that little guy with the bow and arrow, he misfires all the time, and we figured he needed a coach. So the coaching part of my company is called Cupid's Coach. Matchmaking is under julieferman.com. I encourage everybody to listen to the podcast. Go to the YouTube channel. That's where these podcast interviews are aired, and challenge yourself to get a little uncomfortable and do some things that you haven't yet done that might be powerful. When we do that 30-minute call, or if we do the Zoom consultation, which comes after that for people who want to do it, I run a search. So we look at real people together. We should do this together since you're technically out there in the world of dating.
Yes.
We should do that consultation because I get to check your picker and we get to look at real live men, and I get to find out if the men that you're drawn to, are they the ones that have the key criteria that we determined are essential? Or, oh, are you going for the bad boys? Are you going for the it guy and only the it guy? The it guy is problematic right now because if he's 6'2" and he makes $500,000 a year and he's good looking and he has hair, all the girls think they're supposed to be dating that guy, so they get spoiled and they end up picking no one, or they go 15 years younger. Why? Because they can. So if that's the only type of person you're looking for, I'm going to be nervous, but I know you won't be that way.
No, not at all. But that sounds great. I am going to take you up on that and book a call with you because that would be a lot of fun to figure out. And I just love what you do in the world. I love your energy, Julie. You have such concise and valuable guidance to offer. And again, your blogs are just killer. They just are so point on. And so many of you aren't ready, but for those of you who are, by all means, go to the show notes, click on every link that we have there, check Julie out, sign up for a free call, get going, check out your picker and see how it's doing.
It's why I like the podcast, because for people who are not quite ready, it helps them get ready, because the stories are all real. I never have to make anything up. So you're hearing stories about, I'll change the names, maybe the location, maybe the age a little bit, but the stories are real. And you get to see people doing dating beautifully. And you get to see people doing dating horribly. And you get to see where you want to be in that. And how do you want to go about this thing called your love life?
Yeah, love that. Love that. So check that out, and we'll be back again real soon with another episode. You have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the Journey Beyond Divorce podcast. I hope you found guidance and encouragement to help you along your journey. If you like my podcast, please take a minute to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. You can also visit us at jbddivorcesupport.com, where our team of coaches support both men and women through our one-on-one coaching, group programs, online courses, and free resources. Stay tuned for our next episode, and I'll talk to you soon.